Hey guys, just a quick note before we begin that the show may contain spoilers and adult language, but that's just because we know how to have a good time. Stick around, you'll be glad you did.
You are here for me to enlighten you.
You ever act like this again, you're barred for life.
It's just vile and base.
It's kind of embarrassing.
If you know your lines, then you can forget them.
Oh, I get it. It's very clever.
Hello peoples and welcome to Esoterica Cinema, the podcast where we take films from the cinematic multiverse and discuss the hell out of them. My name is Jason Peters, and with me as always is the man who replaced all of his natural teeth with gold teeth, Mr. Ryan Siebold.
What's up, Jason? How's it going, buddy?
It's going pretty well. I must say, though, I don't think that I would do as well at, say, like a hip-hop concert or something as you. I'm still sitting here with my natural pearly whites, and you have got this beautiful, polished, sparkling golden grill.
Yeah,
Tell us
man.
all about that.
Oh, yeah, it's summertime. You got to grill out in the summertime. That's what I heard, so that's...
Wait, you don't think that's what they mean when they say summer grilling, do you?
Oh, I thought it was. Was it not that? I could have... Oh, no.
I mean, okay, here's the thing. First of all, we do have to take a step back. There is always a possibility that there's a regional dialect thing here going on. But my understanding is it always referred to, like, grilling meats.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the first I'm hearing about this. This is terrible because I spent a lot of time and money. This is a very painful process, getting all my fronts removed and replaced with veneers as with this gold thing. Hang on just a second. Hold on. Are you
telling me you've never been invited to a barbecue grill at anybody's house? You've never been invited to a grill.
I'm here to tell you that I was sold a bill of goods. I just brought my dentist in, my oral surgeon. Everybody, welcome to the show, my oral surgeon, Wyndham Jennings.
Hey.
Wyndham, thanks for coming in.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Wyndham,
yes.
My man, you sold me these gold teeth, the summer grilling thing. I thought that's what this was about. Apparently, Jason says that I'm an asshole. What's good?
Yeah, whether you're an asshole or not has nothing to do with your teeth.
Boy, have I been told that before. That is the 19th time I've been told that this week.
Yeah, I just needed the money. I mean, my own teeth, aren't mine originally. They were sold to me by my grandfather on his deathbed. So
wow, that's awesome.
I also love that your grandfather was such a hustler that he straight sold him to you. Like, A, he's your grandpa. B, he's moving on, but he's like, nah, dude, I got to make that dollar.
Yeah. I mean, so, these are Weber brand. I thought that was the brand to go with for my teeth. Yeah, very, very strange situation now that I'm caught in, but I think I look good. Jason, you do. Yeah, we're on Zoom. You guys, you like the fronts, right? It's pretty.
Yeah. It keeps like blinding me. It's a little bright. You've got like that light that's hitting it and it's reflecting right in. But other than that, dude, no, they're money. And also, you enunciate surprisingly well for someone with metal teeth.
They're very heavy. You'd be shocked at how heavy my face is right now. It's like, yeah,
dude looks like Jaws from what is it? 007?
Correct.
Moonraker,
Jaws,
something like that.
Yeah. What was that, Richard Keel? If I remember the actor's name right.
I think so.
Good on you for remembering that. Yeah. I will say, you might say I'm putting on the show for the summer.
Hey, I wonder if that has anything to do with today's episode. We'll actually find out real quick. Before that, Wyndham, I do want to... So, Wyndham Jennings is our guest today. Just taking a step back from the nonsense. He's from a show called Celluloid Fever Dreams, which is a great show. And specifically what I love about it and what I love about him is that he, much like us, is really out there trying to bring attention to some of history's lesser known films, right? We all know plenty of shows where we can hear about all the 90s blockbusters and all of the most revered cinema throughout time, right? And we love those films as much as the next people, but the fact of the matter is cinema is this wide-ranging buffet, and we're the ones who want to just bring you some weird, crazy fusion dish that you would never try on your own. And so, Wyndham, why don't you tell the people a little bit about your show, where they can find it?
Well, like you said, it's Celluloid Fever Dreams, and I just try to go out and I try to find the movies that kind of slip through the cracks, not the cult classics, but the ones that just sort of fell short of being a cult classic, and films that just, to me, deserve a little bit more respect, and that's what I try to bring them to everybody's attention. I'm not really a review show. I'm a recommendation show. Like, I'm that friend that sits in the corner. It's like, hey, have you seen this film? Or, hey, have you seen that film? And, you can find me on Anchor, Apple, Good Pods, just about anywhere. You can download wherever you get this podcast from. I'm probably on that one as well.
Nice, man. Nice. Cool. Well, with that being said, I believe we can go ahead and kick over to our buddy Ryan for a description of today's movie.
By the way, listen to his show, but don't go to him for new teeth or any oral surgery. I'm just now finding out that my oral surgeon's actually a podcast host. Not cool, bro. Not cool. Today's film is from director Mitch Jenkins and writer Alan Moore, most notably, called The Show from 2020. This was brought to our attention by our guest today. Thank you very much for the recommendation. I actually really enjoyed this. The Show is summarized on Google as: a man's search for a stolen artifact leads him to the haunted town, filmed with voodoo gangsters, masked adventurers, Depression-era private eyes, which, by the way, are my favorite part of this movie, and violent chiaroscuro women. That's all it says. So I tried looking for a better summary of this, and it's pretty underground.
That's good.
Yeah, it's pretty underground. Not a lot is known. Jason and I think I could speak for you as well, Jason, that we had no idea this movie existed before our buddy Wyndham brought this to our attention. He posted something along the lines of, hey, anybody seen this? And we're like, we'll watch it with you. So the rest is history, or it soon will be.
Yeah, I didn't know it existed either. Like I said, I think I was on Reddit, and somebody suggested it, and I'm like, wait, Alan Moore wrote a movie? The guy who hates every film adaptation of his work so far wrote a movie?
Such a cantankerous bastard, man. I love his work, but he's just one of those people where it's like, it's a tough cookie, man. But,
this does have some people that you'll see in it that you're like, hey, it's that guy, or hey, it's that girl, but no one that really stands out, of note. So just got to kind of roll with it. I really enjoyed this. The star of the film is, I think, the 12th credited person on IMDb. So if that gives you any kind of note on where we're at on this for budget and so forth, a guy named Tom Burke starred in this. So, but yeah, a lot to love about this movie, though. I actually did enjoy it for what it was. Weird, but enjoyable.
Definitely weird, yeah.
So, as we say at the top of every show, Jason, what did you think about this movie, buddy?
As always, Ryan, I'm going to be happy to go into that right after we play the trailer for The Show.
I've had some pretty strange dreams.
This town at night, you could not make it up.
Dreams are serious things.
Oh my God.
They can enslave people. It's Fletcher Dennis. I followed his trail to Northampton. I'll be staying here until the job's done.
How can I help?
I'm in town to look up an old mate. I heard he moved here just a week ago. I know that's not much to go on.
I'm a bit of a dark horse on the old interwit. Let's see what we can find.
This is the detective agency.
You don't mind me saying, he looks like a guy with a story.
He's dead then.
No one knows if he had a near-death experience or not.
Near enough, I'd say. What do you remember about the dream?
There were these people. Horrible people.
He likes to put it about that he does the old black magic. That's why everyone's so afraid of him.
We've saved you. The best seat in the house.
I'm not sure I follow you.
We are inside a simulation, in a simulation, in a simulation.
Is this real?
I don't know anymore.
Spirits. The gods. Death is a star, yeah?
We're no closer to unraveling this mystery, are we?
All right, so opening shot real quick. We get this interesting God's eye view of Earth and then do a super extreme zoom all the way through down to a close-up of a puddle, making a quick stop along the way in a little cloud. That tells us that Alan Moore and Mitch Jenkins are the ones responsible for this film. Did think it was interesting that it was an Alan Moore and Mitch Jenkins film, despite the fact that Moore is just responsible for the screenplay from what I can tell, and a brief acting stint, but we'll get into that later.
That guy can call dibs. He's like,
dibs. Yeah, he's, I mean, his, right. And let's be honest, I mean, his name is probably the reason that we're watching this movie, right? At the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea who Mitch Jenkins is prior to this, tell you that much.
I looked on IMDb, and most of his credits are like the shorts that went along with this film, setting the story up.
Yeah.
It's like 90% of his credits,
So now real quick, go into that because that was something that, again, I wasn't really familiar with either. And I guess he did a short film to set this one up.
Yeah, him and Alan Moore actually got together as like a proof of concept. Alan Moore written the story. And so they did five shorts featuring like the character of Faith and Jimmy, the guy that Fletcher Dennis is looking for in Northampton.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And like doing a little bit more about the club that they're in, things like that. Yeah. And he said, once we had all those 5 done, then we had something to show investors. This is what we want to do. This is the tone we're looking for, etc.
Yeah. And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And they lost all their money. Actually, I didn't see. Does anybody know if this film made money or not?
I do not.
Yeah, I don't know
either. We'll have to see. But yeah, so immediately after this shot, though, it's very interesting the way it's set up because, we get this really cool, obviously computer-generated zoom shot. And then after that, we get this juxtaposition sequence where we're going from these super big wide shots of the city and a cab specifically into these extreme close-ups of the person within the cab, down to the point of like not even face, but just like seeing his jaw and the corner of a briefcase, etc., etc. We soon learn that our protagonist, to me, I don't know, he looked an awful lot like Robert Smith from The Cure. I don't know if you guys got the same vibes.
Yeah, I can say that, yeah.
I thought he was, Kirkland brand Robert Pattinson to me.
I saw that as well, yeah.
Yeah,
you could definitely see that. Even down to, bold choice, going for an actor with a hair lip. You don't really see that too often. Not since the days of Stacy Keach have they hung their hat on a leading man with a hair lip. So props to them.
Stacy Keach, deep cut. Love it.
I did watch. Have you guys ever seen a movie called The Ninth Configuration, by the way?
No.
Oh, it's
I know the title, but I can't remember if I've actually seen it or not.
Yeah, it's the William Peter Blatty, and it's the book that he did after The Exorcist, and I guess that got him the creed to be able to direct it, and it's god awful. Like it is. I can't remember the last time I saw a movie that had so little reason for existing. Like it was take like the madhouse scenes from like 12 Monkeys, extrapolate it to 90 minutes. And then offer nothing else. Like it was a lot. Okay. It was a lot, and it's at first, it was just like these people saying these insane things, and it's kind of funny. And then an hour into it, you're like, "This is just nonsense. It's fucking nonsense. Would somebody please give me something to hang the hat on?" So, anyways,
God Monster of Indian Flats. I had the same reaction. I'm like, we're an hour into it. Are we going to show the monster from the title at any point during this film?
Yeah, man. There's a reason, and I'm sure you find the same thing, right? Like a lot of these are hidden gems, and some of them, hey, there's a reason people don't know about them, right?
Yeah.
So now I
will say our first recognizable face comes in this first scene with Roger Ashton Griffiths, the cabbie.
Oh, yeah.
That was someone I noticed right away from Game of Thrones and several other things. I was like, hey, it's that guy. And I absolutely loved that the name of the cab service was Cars.
Yeah.
Just all A's, so they're first in the phone book.
Nice, dude. Yeah.
I loved what his air freshener was, considering the character we meet later on in Faith.
Oh, I know.
His air freshener's a person hanging from a noose.
Oh,
wow.
that's okay. Those are air fresheners. Yeah, because they cut to that a couple times, and I didn't know that because I think later on there's another cabbie that has one of those.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't get that's what that was. Honestly, I'm probably going to say that more often than I'd like to.
Yeah,
There's a
absolutely.
lot of this where it's like, you know what? I didn't quite 100% understand what that meant.
Like the only reason I caught it is like I've seen the movie twice. So going through a second time, I'm like, oh, that's kind of mean. That's kind of.
I see what you were doing there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, so there's kind of one thing, Wyndham, I'd like to go ahead and go to you on this one first. So
okay.
For me, there was a lot about the first 5 minutes that kind of set up the film that was to follow. And I was just wondering if there was anything that sort of you came across with in terms of some of either the visual language or the plot or the setting, or, how effective you thought those first few minutes were in setting up the film that would come later.
I don't know. I given what happens later on in the film, how oh Lord, English is such a hard thing. Given how mystical it gets and how big some of the plot points become towards the end of the film, I really do think the opening where we start big and go down, like you said, to the puddle, really does set it up, because it seems like from that point we're pulling back farther and farther and getting farther away from the real world and more into the metaphysical.
I love that.
The bigger themes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really liked it, and the sort of the teasing of information, like you said, the extreme close up where you just see part of a jaw or a suitcase. It's like we're not getting the whole picture right from the get go. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I liked the opening, for those reasons.
I agree. How about you, Ryan? Anything you picked up on?
Yeah, I didn't really know. I was along for the ride. So, in all full disclosure, I didn't know anything about this movie going in. I did not even watch a trailer for this movie going in.
Same.
I was recommended this, and Jason asked if I wanted to come on board for this show and for this, because some of these off-season things I can make and some I can't. But I know I love Alan Moore, and I wanted to be all in for this. So I just kind of went in blind. And so I didn't know what I was walking into, and it was very confusing. I will also say that I ended up putting subtitles on just because some of the slang was so thick. And so I had the same problem with Robert Eggers' The Witch. Yeah. There was a lot of I think I called it at one point Pilgrim slang or Pilgrim accents.
Pilgrim accents. That's how you
they had Pilgrim accents.
So, hey, what am I in for? And you're like, well, get ready for Pilgrim accents. And I'm like, what are Pilgrim accents? It's like, you'll know when you hear it. And afterwards I was like, hey, those were some Pilgrim accents for sure.
Those were some Pilgrim accents. Yeah. I don't know how to say it otherwise. Victorian era shit, I don't know. But this was thick, heavy, British accents and dialogue and slang. The verbiage I could understand, but some of the references they were making or the slang that they were using or whatnot kind of was going over my head. So I backed it up, put the subtitles on. I will also add that this movie from the jump was moving so fast and throwing so much nonsense at you that I started taking notes watching the film, and I had to start pausing it when I would look down to write stuff, because I would look down for 5 seconds, write a sentence, look back up, and I had no idea what was going on from there. Like, it would lose you fast. So you kind of got to pay attention and go along for the ride. So,
well, I'm glad that you brought that up too, because I kind of thought the same thing, and I thought that it was very interesting because it starts out with this sort of very breakneck pace where it's just throwing all this shit at you. But then as the film progresses, it's getting slower. And I think that ties into what you just said, Wyndham, where it's, oftentimes we get, I think what Moore did is he sort of inverted the pacing and the structure, right? So normally we start wide and then we get closer and closer and closer as the film progresses. With this one, to your point about those opening shots, I think we actually start super close and then we get more detached, and we sort of pull away from character a little bit as the film progresses. And I think that we can see that by the way that they both sort of lean into a lot of the noir tropes as well as play against them, and I think to me that's what that juxtaposition represents. Is it's like, okay, we're going to go full in on like a lot of these noir tropes, right? Like down to, we're going to introduce this detective agency, and then we're just going to go way far away from convention, and we're going to make them kids in some backyard, right? So there's a lot of stuff that it did like that where, it
literally
tried to play
two
both
kids
angles.
in a trench coat.
my favorite part of the film, hands down.
That
I
old
love
gag
that so much. I cannot wait to get to that part of the film.
I wanted to see them like walk up and try to get into a dirty movie.
Yeah.
Like, that's usually why you're busting that grift. Also, Ryan, I totally thought of you because, so we're in the middle of our sci-fi month. We're calling it sci-fi. So it's just, we always like excuses to do things. We wanted to do a bunch of sci-fi stuff, do some anime that we hadn't got into. So Ryan just did 12 Monkeys. And the moment that I saw like 18 Dutch angles in as many minutes, I was like,
God.
Dude, Ryan's visual language is probably so skewed right now.
Dude.
Coming off Terry Gilliam and now this.
Yeah, I think I texted you right after I finished watching this film, and it was like to go from to 12 Monkeys and then Everything Everywhere All at Once and this film back to back to back within just a couple days was I need to like ground myself in some level of reality moving forward here. I need to watch like some Hal Ashby drama or something like that to kind of like get me back seated
ground
again
you in reality.
But
he's like, why don't we just do some Jodorowsky while we're at it? Just really embrace all this, right?
Yeah, next week, Holy Mountain, let's do it. So this DP, that was, if you want to ask me what my takeaway was in high level in the first 5 minutes, this DP was shooting his ass off and it never slowed down. Like there was always something interesting to look at on screen. It was always lit interesting. It was never too gratuitous. There was never a moment where it like took me out of it, but there certainly were Dutch angles. There was elevated Dutch angles, like on a jib or mounted up high, looking down, almost like surveillance cameras or security cameras. In fact, he actually used security camera or surveillance camera footage throughout the film itself. There's this long dolly shot that pushes in when he's in the library to open the film up. Overhead camera spins. There's a lot to kind of disorient you and really lets you know through the visuals of the work, what you're in store for the rest of the film. And, it's kind of like the old childhood game or, where they put the blindfold on you and spin you around a bunch, whether it's Pinata or Pin the Tail on the Donkey or anything. Like I kind of felt like I had a blindfold on and they spun me around a whole bunch and then set me loose to watch the rest of this film. And I was like, whoa, okay, what's going on now? Why?
You're talking about cinematography. I do love that. And I guess it'd be cinematography and whoever's responsible for set dressing, that, like you said, there's always something interesting. And like Alan Moore's comics, like every shot is so information dense.
Yeah,
sure. Like, there's like, flyers that have jokes in them. There's, notices, graffiti, just all these things that, add to the film.
Yeah, there's like the whole thing with the video game that they kind of talk about a little bit. And you'll see the headlines or it'll just come across in a throwaway comment from someone getting out of a cab or a cabbie or whatever. And those decisions do kind of make the world feel much more lived in, when you have elements of those. I think the only potential downside is sometimes like there may be something the audience really responds to, and you're like, oh, I want to know more about that. I wish it wasn't just like glossed over as a background thing.
Oh, yeah. And am I the only one who was confused why he went to a library to look for somebody? Is that just like a British thing? Or because I'm like, why is he going asking a librarian where this guy lives?
Yeah, I think it was because was that where like the phone book was or something, or there was records online or something he was looking for?
Yeah, I just assumed that they had like, they have the microfiche, the records and stuff. That's always kind of like a movie trope that I've never done myself. I don't know if this really exists, but I've seen it happen in movies where
I know, right?
You need to go find stuff. Go to the library, ask for the microfiche, and they got you. And by the way,
old system with the knob and shit like that. Like my library doesn't have that. I've looked. Believe me.
Yeah.
They got some computers I could use for free, but more power to them. But
yeah. By the way, most helpful librarian of all time. Very little information given. I need to find this one gentleman. I got you, fam. Sit down, clickety clack my way through it. Enhance, expand, enhance. It's all like CSI.
CSI, yeah.
Yeah, the guy was all about it. So,
and Alan Moore, who keeps talking about how much he hates superheroes, sneaks a superhero into his
once
first
again,
film.
yeah. And I'm gonna see if you guys have a theory on that because that's another piece of information that kind of lost me here. So
Yeah,
moving
same
forward, though,
thing.
real quick, we'll get to that in here in just a minute. When we get back to the narrative, so it starts out where even before the library, I think the guy goes, or maybe it's immediately after, he goes to the hospital and he meets this worker who's showing him around. Kind of looked a little bit like a I don't know, like an aging rockabilly rocker to me or something like that. But that's kind of where we're also introduced to another element of the visual language that's going to be very persistent throughout this entire thing. And that's the heavy use of colored gels that are often not even going to be necessarily motivated, at least not by any sort of like diegetic lighting or anything like that.
See, if you thought about me watching Dutch angles, Jason, I thought about you about these colored gels, buddy. I saw all this colored lighting, and I was like, dude, Jason is just eating this up with a spoon. He's getting so much power from this. Yes.
There's no reason for magenta, but here we are with magenta.
He walks from this like matrixy green hallway into this vibrant blue room back to back, and I was like, oh, Jason is just so chubbed up right now. He loves this so much.
Not gonna lie, I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was fantastic. I can't justify it. Like, if you were like, that's completely unjustified lighting and it's heavy as shit, I'd be like, you're correct. I have nothing to defend myself against, sir or madam.
Yeah, right. So this dude that shot this, he hasn't really done a lot you could tell he's like working his way up, and he just wanted a DP credit because he's done A-cam, B-cam focus pulling on like huge blockbusters, like not necessarily good ones, but Assassin's Creed, Macbeth, Fury, all the way down to like Zero Dark 30,
Nice.
which I believe won an Oscar, and The Eagle, stuff like that. So Four Lions, which I've heard is a great film.
We have that on our list.
Yeah, so he's done, B-cam, second unit, all kinds of stuff like that. And I think he just wanted to take that elevated step up. So I'm only bringing that up because it does look like he's pulling out all the tricks in his fucking toolbox to be like, just throwing everything at it. This is his demo reel, more or less. Like, come on,
dude,
fuckers,
it's his time
what you
to
got?
shine. Yeah, no, it's like,
right.
Yeah, they're giving him the stage and he is going to put on a show.
He's like, no one's going to see this movie, but I could forever use clips from this movie in my demo reel, and each, like, out of context, it all looks so dope. So fuck it. Let's roll.
Awesome. And then, so after that, he's wandering around town. He's got to, obviously find a place to stay for a little while. Our protagonist, that is, who is both Steve and Fletcher. And by the way, did we learn that up front, or was that supposed to be some sort of... Because I think by the time that the female lead learns it, I had already kind of known that he was, but I don't know exactly when that information came out there. But either way,
I can't think of the superhero's name. I think there's a clip of him like facial recognition. It pops up Fletcher Dennis in one of the shots.
Yeah, when he was
how we learn who he really is.
I agree.
Okay, yeah. So, but he's, got to find a place to stay. He knocks on this apartment. This girl opens up. She's like sobbing horrifically because this guy apparently just died. And, but hey, that opened up the room. So, it's yours if you want it. And also this character for me, I want to see what you guys thought about this character. It didn't 100% work because I don't really know why she exists. And she's incredibly thirsty for what I imagine most people would agree is a fairly unattractive dude, and she's a very pretty girl, and it's like, so I don't know if this was supposed to be the film saying like, see, he's a handsome leading man, even this pretty girl's attracted to him, or like I don't know why she was so like just thirsty for him the entire film. And I don't, again, like, she wasn't much of an exposition dump. She didn't really explain a lot that we didn't kind of already know. So, like, what was your guys' take on that character?
I kind of just seen her as more of like a comedic foil. Like you said, she's thirsting for him so heavy, and then she has the walking tour. She'll info dump just inappropriately at times, and it even sometimes doesn't even have to do with what the plot is.
Yeah,
so
random info.
Yeah, I think it was just that, just like another. Like I said, just like a comedic
so the comic
character
relief.
or something, yeah, both her and the other guy, the oh god, what was it, the comedian or whatever,
the vegan guy, which was he like? Did he live there? Was he her brother? I wasn't 100% sure on that relationship.
He also lives there, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I know when she was introduced, she was chewing up the scenery and overacting her ass off. And I thought it was so over the top, her performance. But then once we got into the film, because that was up until that point, everything kind of played like a little sinister, a little off. And you kind of like got some like weird Twin Peaks Lynch vibes. But, what is this town we're in? Even the cabbie saying like, God made the country, but he didn't make the town or something like that, kind of alluding to there's more going on here than meets the eye. But then once we started to peel back the layers of the onion, as I like to say, this character all of a sudden started to fit into the world. So I kind of felt like she was the introduction to the zaniness a little bit, even though I forget if we had seen the coroner by this time at the morgue. I think we have, but either way, this was... her over-the-top performance felt a lot more natural as the movie went on. But this introductory scene was like, an ice bath. Just like, whoa, what the fuck is happening right now? Because she is just, like you said, like the deeper I got in, the more her performance felt natural, but the less she felt essential to the plot.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, they did kind of rein her back in. Like she didn't have as big of a role in the second and third act as she did in the first. I think that she's just kind of our intro into the city a little bit, but she just kind of shows up here and there to kind of do these little allow our character to do these exposition dumps here and there and kind of like think out loud, so to speak, and have someone to bounce ideas off of. But once Faith comes in as our femme fatale, so to speak, then she kind of goes away, I feel like.
Yeah, I did love. It's just a quick little scene towards the end where her and Faith meet for the only time. When he's getting the information from the detectives, she's like, "There's a man in the alley that's been there for hours." Just the look that actress gives Faith as she's going back in, like I was so like she just wants to punch her for being with Fletcher. But I like that.
I noticed that too. I did like that moment as well.
But
Nice.
I just loved it because when she opened the door, my immediate thought was that's one of the Bennett sisters from Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Oh yeah,
which is one of my favorite films. Unironically, I just love that film. And so, just finally seeing her in something else, I'm like, hey, it's her.
The dude from the nightclub, Carnaby. He was over at, like, there were certain people in here that, and I have this in my notes. I think that's one of the only places I think this movie suffers is, I think that by and large, 70% of the actors carry this, which amounts to a lot of nonsense. Throughout the film, or you're kind of confused, and a lot of the actors take that and carry it well, and do it justice. But there are every now and then these slapsticky characters, like the Carnaby character, or
Herbert Sherbert,
Becky character.
That was the
Herbert
guy that didn't work for me,
right?
Yeah.
That kind of like pull you out of the film a little bit. And I think if they had been. Even the Faith, the actress that played Faith, I think she did a decent enough job, but I do think if that had been like a Naomi Watts or a Laura Dern, I think that this movie actually, this movie's a really good movie. I just think that, there are these brief moments where you could see that it was done on a very tight budget. And some of that comes through with some of the actors that they got, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what we soon learn is that the crux of the noir aspect of this story is going to be that he's looking for this golden cross, and he was hired by a gentleman that he speaks to on the phone who is encouraging him to find it as quickly as possible, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And like I said, that's when we get the scene that, which by the way, apparently just in some brief, what I overheard on or happened to see online real quick, we're introduced to these detectives, and that does seem to be a large percentage of people's favorite aspect of this movie is these detective characers.
Those kids need a spin-off. Wyndham, do they have are they in any of the shorts at all by chance?
No. No, the shorts, I bought the DVD, like I said, and the shorts were included on it, so I watched them. I watched the movie, and then I watched the shorts.
Okay.
Because I didn't want... the shorts, like the first two are just Faith. Like the first one was her choking to death in the closet, and then the second one is her stumbling into the club and meeting Match Bright for the first time.
Got it.
And they're much meaner than the final film. I mean, he's just really cruel to her and like torturing her. And then the third one is when Jimmy dies and he shows up at the club. So you get to see, like, where she says, we danced together at the club. But yeah, it just focuses. And then after that one, it's just Jimmy. It's like what happens to him, I guess, after the film.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
when he shows up at that woman's house, and then she's got like the Soundgarden Black Hole Sun kind of smile going on.
Yes.
I loved that. And then she sends him to the back. I'm here to see, was it Tim and other Tim?
Well, yeah, and she also calls him with like the tin can and the string, like the old school like clubhouse bullshit.
Oh, I loved it so much. He doesn't have an appointment. She played it. That little girl that played the secretary or the receptionist, played it so straight face and just perfect to the T. I love
small
that
role
so
took
much.
advantage.
Yeah. I want to know the story of the smiling guy with the empty bird cage. That was like the next client.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm like,
that's right.
I'm like, who is this guy? What is his case?
Right.
Yeah. I
found myself like scouring because, the chick at the boarding house even brings up like, did you see a sign about pets? And I'm like, is this something that's going to pay off? And I kept like looking at the signs, and I saw stuff for like, family friendly racist paintball was like a sign I caught, and things like that, but nothing else about pets.
Yeah. At this point,
hilarious.
I was kind of thinking we were involved in some kind of Wicker Man scenario where this town was just off because we had the cabbie kind of set up like, like I said, the good Lord made the country, but not the town. And then all of a sudden now you're getting these like weird smiley face people showing up. Obviously the coroner, and then the Becky character who he's renting the room from. Everybody seemed like just askew. And so I was like, what's going on in this town that, is this like a cure for wellness situation? We've talked about that film on our podcast before. So I was waiting for more of a reveal about that I never got. Turns out it's just Alan Moore. We're just existing in his world. So carry on, I should have known better.
Yeah, like the meta comment from Carnaby. He's like, you couldn't make this up. And he stops and goes, nah, you could make it up.
I love that. And like, even when he goes into the Tim's, Tim and other Tim, the detective agency's office, it immediately switches to a desaturated black and white, like an old, Humphrey Bogart film or something, and goes in so it just leans all in. And they're dressed in the suits with the old fedoras and all of that. It's so perfect. They, everyone listening, he walks in to go get answers. He's recommended to go to this detective's office, and to which he thinks he's walking into an actual office. He's greeted by a number one, he's told to go back to this like treehouse looking fort that's in a backyard. He's greeted by a child receptionist who summons the detectives on a tin can with a string. And then when he walks into their office, the whole scene switches to black and white, and it turns into a Bogart film. And he has this tremendous dialogue with these two kid detectives that sometimes is done very serious and straight, and then other times they're talking about the pastries that and biscuits that their mom is cooking in the oven, and what flavor they are, and so forth. So,
well, as a matter of fact, part of the
fantastic.
payment is that I think they like energy drinks, right?
Energy
so that's their
drinks,
whole thing.
yeah.
Is he's like, okay, we'll do it for $300 a day and an energy drink. Did you bring the energy drink? Where is it? Okay, here you go.
Okay, here's the funny thing. Watching with subtitles on, my subtitles on the Blu-ray, when he said $2.99, come up to $2.99.
Yeah, same with mine. I noticed that as well.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah.
Yep.
I just assumed it was $2.99, but no, because it's kids, it would make sense that it's literally $2.99.
Yeah, because I was like you hearing it, I was like, wow, $300. Then $2.99 in the subtitles. I'm like, oh, yeah,
they're
kids.
Right. I loved it I loved it.
And it's funny because either way, that could work as part of a joke, right? It works as a joke that they're charging $2.99, but it also kind of works as a joke if they just charge because I figure like $300 a rate is probably the going rate for a decent PI.
Yeah.
Right? So they're just like, yeah, we're really good at what we do. We charge $300 a day. And we also require energy drinks. And,
Yeah.
if you have any cookies, that'd be great too.
But I love what you said earlier, Wyndham, which is like, so as we're starting to go through this film now, and we're rounding out probably Act 1 somewhere in this part of the show, you're absolutely right. Because they kind of like tease you in the beginning with this askew stuff. And then we're just pulling back little by little. We're pulling back to, the film gets weirder, but it feels also more normal that it is getting weirder,
Yeah,
And so you just kind of settle in and enjoy the ride. And honestly, I wasn't that impressed with the resolve of the film. The Act 3 resolution, which we'll get to in a bit here, didn't really blow me away, but I loved the movie just because of the ride it took me on, because of these moments like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Even on the ending, once it hooks you in, it's like you can't look away.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Neither do I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's actually interesting that you say that, because I think based on what you guys are saying, I probably enjoyed it a little bit less than you guys did, but it was kind of one of those things where even when I would find myself kind of falling a little bit out of favor with it, there was never a point where I could just turn away from the film. I was just there's something about it. I got to keep watching. Right.
I do think that it could have done itself justice by maybe shaving off 20 minutes.
It was definitely long. I
thought it was just a little too long. And I don't know where those 20 minutes could have been shaved off. Maybe, like you said, maybe the Becky character just goes away, and that takes a lot of that out, and gets along to the plot a little quicker. Because there's enough nonsense going on in the film that I don't need more. Just if it's not pertaining to taking me anywhere, I don't just need random nonsense.
Yeah. Well, and part of it too. So let's. The next stage in the film, just getting back to that real quick, is we've got this Elton Carnaby character that you brought up. He's the restaurant manager. He's a little bit all over the place, or bar manager, something like that. A little all over the place, but he's also seems to have a strong memory that our protagonist, Steve, can hopefully get some information from. And he gives him a lead to go back to the hospital, I think, because that's when we're introduced to the Faith character, right? So, and she's introduced where basically he, being Steve, presents her a picture of the guy that he's looking for. I forget what his real name is, but it's Mitchum, something Mitchum. And she starts freaking out and has this oh my God, blah, 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 blah. And then it turns out that she remembered seeing his face in these sort of dreams that she's having about this club and everything. So we're going to get to that in a second, but I did also want to bring up the character that's introduced right around this time as well. And that is this older superhero gentleman, whatever he is. He puts on this blue mask and he appears to be some sort of superhero, but he's also just on a computer the whole time. And it seems like he is obviously has a lot of power because he can delete surveillance footage and all this sort of stuff. But I will admit that by the end of the film, I had no clue who that character was within the context of the rest of the film. So Wyndham, I'll start with you because you seem like you have a pretty good handle on this story. Can you shed any light on that character to me and anyone else who wasn't sure what was going on there?
Honestly, talk about cutting 20 minutes. I feel like I could have cut him.
Yeah.
Because, outside of the scenes we have him in, the only other reference to him in the story is there's a newspaper headline that says hacker brings down drug cartel. So, I feel like he's one that we could have cut out because I don't really see the purpose that he serves in the story. Other than he could be like Alan Moore's version of God. The all-seeing eye that's judging people and whatnot. But even then, it's not really like he serves a purpose to me in the story.
Yeah. Well, and even then, I mean, we can talk about metaphors all day long, but also he obviously he exists in this world to be able to do stuff like delete surveillance footage. So I would also just like to know what role he plays, because it's not really there's not a shadow organization that's really pulling the strings, right? You'd like to think he must be some sort of connection to what's the names? What are the comedians called that everything kind of hangs on? Middleton and Matchbright, right? So you'd like to think there's some sort of connection there, because that's kind of what you have, right? Is this whole story breaks it down into two sort of worlds, if you will, right? The one is like the main world that the protagonist exists in and all these characters that we're bringing up and Faith and all of these people. And then there's the, quote unquote dream world that Faith keeps seeing. And that's where, the comedians are and all of the different, sort of weird characters that are associated with them and their circus performance and all of that. So you've got to think that, okay, so if those are the two worlds, the superhero exists in one or the other. We see him, making actual tangible differences, so he exists here. But does he have a connection to that world? And is that why he exists? I don't know. I didn't come away with it, but I wonder.
I'm not sure either. I think in the credits he's called the Flash Avenger. But I don't know, to me, the only thing I can think of, he's almost like the Batman character Oracle, the one who, the super hacker that Barbara Gordon was after she got paralyzed. Mm-hmm. But there's like no other heroes for him to give this information to. So it's like, what purpose does he really serve?
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of weird, but it looks like it doesn't sound like I'm the only one here.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been, that hard either to tie him in somehow or show some level of interaction with him in the story, unless it was intentional to keep him separate. Like you were saying, Wyndham, as far as like being like the voice of God, so to speak, the metaphorical, voice of God or whatnot, or the author's point of view, kind of looking down on this whole thing and switching things around. But just one extra step or one extra breadcrumb to tie him in just a skosh would have made that whole thing feel so much more organic and given it a bit of a living space in the context of the plot. But because it wasn't there, every time we cut away, I mean, there were some exposition dumps, like you were saying. That's when we learned his real name, and being Fletcher or whatever. So there were some moments where, but that could have been done a million other ways to where it didn't pull me out of it. So anyway,
you mentioned and you called him voice of God. It took me a second viewing to catch it, but the comedians, the one that Alan Moore plays, the last name Metatron, that's literally voice of God.
Oh,
interesting.
It's a pun, yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
And he created the whole dream world that all the dead are living in. So I'm like, watching it the second time, and then I was like, wait a minute,
And that's it. As we start to get into this, we're dealing with the afterlife and dead people that are still living and have like a purgatory of sorts. And so, some of these things I just kind of like, whatever, like, buy the ticket, ride the ride,
Well, Alan Moore is a practicing magician. He has been for like 30 plus years.
Oh, that I did not know.
I can see that.
I don't know why I have a surprise sound in my voice right now.
The reason you sound surprised is because most magicians try to at least feign enjoyment in life. They're trying to come at you with some high energy, like, "Hey kids, want to see a trick?" And Alan Moore is like, "Life is pain and death. Here's a bunny rabbit."
He's been a practicing magician, I think, since the early 90s.
Wow.
And he worships, what was it in the interview? He worships a Roman god whose name I can't remember.
Because of course he does.
Yeah, right? Because he's Alan Moore and he can.
Yep. He's not Alan Less.
But but he says like the Roman cult turned out to be a fake. It was like a sock puppet.
You don't say.
Yeah, and they're like, but you worship him. He's like, well, yeah, because if I worship a sock puppet, then I don't believe anything silly like this sock puppet created the world.
Wow. Yeah, it's a decoy.
Yeah.
For my soul.
Oh man, Alan Moore getting in touch with his inner Herbert Sherbert, who our protagonist described as a real artist, and that did not mean that as a compliment.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And and that's kind of he's actually one of the guys that we're introduced to right after that, and then he sort of I felt like there was like a solid like 20 minutes, maybe even 30 in the middle, where we're just kind of like bouncing from person to person, and we're not really getting them any sense of who they are. They're kind of just these little caricatures, and again, like the Herbert Sherbert guy, he sees him, he does this weird song, and it doesn't really amount to much, and then he's out, and so. That was like kind of where it lost me for a little bit at times. But after that, he goes back to meet Faith at the cafe, and that's where they start to sort of set the scene with the whole nature of how this comedy duo and how they end up playing into matters, which again, not 100% clear when all is said and done how that world, but I think I have a at least a metaphorical interpretation, whether or not it works for like the world that they've created, right?
Such a running theme where after we keep setting up a scene, talking about it, and then ending it with, yeah, no idea what's going on there. So then the next scene.
I kind of look at this way. I look at Cronenberg films. When I don't understand what's going on, I just put my hands on my hips, shake my head and go, Cronenberg.
Yeah.
It's just,
yeah.
I kind of feel this is the same way. Just it's Alan Moore.
Yeah. So for the listeners out there, because I could see where this is going to get a little, I mean, you're probably in your car right now saying, what the fuck? But basically, it's just this detective dude that's like going looking for this cross with a rose on it that his client has hired him to find. And it's all the detective tropes that you could, he's going meeting all these interesting characters around this weird town in England. And so that's more or less the nuts and bolts of everything we've described so far. And he's getting help along the way, and certain people are trying to hinder him behind the scenes. It's very, very Bogart-esque. But, over the top of all of that is this veneer and sheen, much like my gold teeth, that is all this Alan Moore, very David Lynchian weirdness and all these odd characters and spiritual stuff and ghosts and, newspapers about dead people that are interacting with our real characters and visions and so forth. Our femme fatale, we met her in a hospital, Faith, that Jason's setting up now with a noose tie around her neck. She tried to hang herself through some kind of sexual something or other. I think she was a sex worker. And so,
No. In the short, her and her boyfriend, who's a paramedic, have a game they play where he saves her from suicide.
Oh, wow.
And he got diverted by an actual emergency and couldn't get to her in time before she blacked out. That's the first short. So watching.
Nice.
Yeah.
Welcome to the jungle. Yeah. That's a way to walk into the short. I don't know if you watch that and it's like, do I need to see more of these shorts? Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. When they're much darker than the film. I mean, the film can got pretty dark a couple of times, but the shorts are just a whole other level.
But was it like a sexual thing? Like they were getting off on that more or less? Like it was like a role playing thing that they were doing more or less? Okay.
Yeah. She like dresses up and like calls the emergency line, and when he answers the phone, she's like, "Yeah, I just feel like ending it."
Got it.
She's and so it's like a role playing thing,
role playing savior complex thing going on. She wants to be vulnerable and saved and all of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after she's handcuffed and you got the noose around her and everything, then her phone rings again. It's like, hey, there's an actual car accident. I can't make it. Don't do it yet. Don't do it yet. And she's blacking out the whole time.
Oh wow. That's heavy. Because our main character around this time in the film, when they're trying to suss stuff out at her house, he sits on the couch and finds her pair of handcuffs are like under the pillow or something. He's like, what are these? And she was all embarrassed and throws them in the junk drawer. But that's a nice callback to that. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we haven't really delved into it too much, but, the Faith character along the way is getting these hallucinations, and they kind of slow drip at first, and they start to become more prominent as the film progresses. And, we're seeing these all sorts of ostentation, costumes and clown lawyers and all just weird, images of people that are supposedly dead, right? At first I thought it was even like a play on The Sixth Sense or something, where she was saying like, I see dead people. And then it's like, oh no, wait, but she actually does see dead people. So we're starting to see a little bit of those characters. And then she has like we kind of like get a moment where we get to go into her dream with her and exist in that world for a little while. And it's very Twin Peaks from the standpoint of, it's the stage and it's got the red curtains. I think the overall, from the vaudevillian nature of all the actors to the just the general visual aesthetic and the color palettes, very reminiscent of Twin Peaks. I'm certain that was intentional. Probably from a directorial standpoint, because Alan Moore.
Yeah, because the lighting was very stark too, and that reminded me of Twin Peaks. That it wasn't moody or anything like. It was very spotlighty and harsh. Bright white daylight. That could have been done very much more subtle. But but it was not. And that the lighting alone reminded me of Twin Peaks.
Yeah. And then, and one thing also that I would have liked to have seen is, even, an hour into it or such that we're now like well over halfway, it's still just, he's still kind of just looking for this golden cross, and we still don't really know what the golden cross is. And once we learn a little bit later, it's actually pretty engaging. But I think, again, it was really the middle of the film that lost me, and it was a couple of things, and it did kind of get me back at the end. But when it lost me, it was, again, because like we were just jumping from character to character, and they were all kind of caricatures of people. They weren't really fleshed out a little bit. So it was just kind of like, okay, like even when he goes to the bar, that Bird and Bottle place, and then there's the woman who's like some sort of drug lord, or they talk about she's got voodoo powers or something, and again, we just never see her again, and I feel like you could have cut that scene and we wouldn't have lost anything. And so it was just like these little moments that started, like it was like there was no like big knockout punch that lost me, right? But it's like those slow jabs where it's like, there's a little something here. It's like, there's a little something here that added up. It's like, I would have liked to have seen these things handled a little bit better,
It's tough too, because like, on one hand, none of these people really matter to the, to the plot or to our protagonist's journey, so to speak. But on the other hand, you start cutting out the drug dealer, you cut out our Becky character, you start making these cuts here and there, and then you're left with a very small film. And you could tell like they didn't really have a lot other than it's a character film. So, sometimes that works, like our Tim and Tim detective couple, and other times it doesn't, like this drug dealer, the Becky character. But, I think that these characters, weren't necessarily terrible characters. I just think that they should have been tied back to have a little bit more to do with the plot, so I had a reason to give a shit about them.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the way they're written right now, they kind of feel like filler characters.
Right.
And honestly, I don't even know that you needed filler characters. Just cut a half hour out of your damn movie. It's fine.
Yeah. But it's kind of just all this movie is him going around and dealing with interesting characters for the most part, when you really break it down. So, the more characters, the better, but you need to justify their existence. That's all.
Yes and no. If you're justified, sure, to your point, but also just like, so I felt the same way recently about like Licorice Pizza, for example. Did you catch that one yet or no?
I hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So
like Bradley Cooper's character.
Yeah. Like people talk about, it's like, Tom Waits and Bradley Cooper and all and it's like, look, in a vacuum, like I love those guys, but in this movie, they don't really like have a reason for existing, and I felt the same way.
See, I would argue that you keep the drug lord because she does actually provide a little more background on Fletcher, on the main character.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I know who you are, you're a death dealer.
Right.
It's like she starts to peel that away. The one I would lose would be the chick with the two-tone hair.
Okay.
Like, she's in
Definitely.
that one.
There's another one.
I call her Sia because she looks like Sia.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The coked out Sia.
Because you see her there, and then you see her at the bar towards the end of the movie, and I was like, okay, they're showing her again. There's got to be a payoff for that.
Yeah.
And there's not.
Yeah.
And it's like, why is she even in the film?
Now, I do know that she is...
Sia.
She's... now, her name, that's Monica Beardsley, so I think she's related to the main guy. I don't know exactly how she fits into everything, but I do know... that at least, she shares that last name, and I think, but no, I'm with you, like, in terms of, there's a lot of characters where it was just like, I don't understand why they're here.
But then, like, even just false narratives, like the drug dealer goes into this big thing, because remember, like, the drug dealer, like, I think that could have been done, like, you could combine some of these characters and narrative plot points, but there was the whole thing where she had that girl that was all... fucked up next to her on a new synthetic drug that this drug dealer was proud that she created.
The one that like almost passes out or whatever.
Right.
She's like, keep your mouth shut, honey, whatever. Yeah.
Like that whole thing was extraneous. Like we didn't need to know about the synthetic drug that you were creating and what it did to these people. I thought they were giving me something that was going to, that was a plant and payoff and it had something to do with something, but no, had nothing to do with anything.
It's a callback to the shorts.
Okay.
What she's saying is a callback to the shorts, like the part the curtain, answer the phone, because in the shorts, the front desk, the phone's constantly ringing, but nobody will answer it.
Okay.
But that's like a running thing. But so that's the only reason I could think it was in there. And I'm like, but.
So let's talk about this for a second, though, because like I'm really glad that these shorts exist and they add to the world, but you can't use that. Like you can't use the shorts as an excuse for the information.
Oh, no.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like it's reverse engineered.
If there's a prerequisite, you got to tell me. Like watch these shorts. Here's a link, and then go see the film.
It can add to it, and that's cool.
Or even don't just serve them up beforehand, right? Like old school. Like, hey, here's a short film before the movie.
Yeah, watching it the first time, it's like, okay, what does she mean answer the phone? And then when I saw the shorts and watched them, it's like, oh, that makes sense. But why would you include that in the movie if I hadn't seen the shorts?
Right. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be interesting if, like, this was originally part of this, like, multimedia grand scheme that Alan Moore had in his head, right? And it was like, okay, so, we're going to have short films, and then I'm going to release this book, right? And then after people read the book, then they're going to see the movie. And, like, you have to, like, and he's, like, and then he was, like, halfway through, like, this is boring. This sucks. Just release the movie and the short films. I'm done.
Yeah. The best magic trick he's ever done.
Yeah, there's just like these loose tendrils left over of like things that were being set up that never got finished.
This grand scheme, and then he says, "Now check your pocket." And I check my pocket, and I said, "My $2.99 is gone." He's like, "Ha magic! I took your rental money."
Maybe that's why. Also, the movie was $2.99 instead of $3.99 on Amazon.
Nice tie-in with the Tim and Tim that they needed the $2.99. Is that it's all an Easter egg, one giant Easter egg. This came up. I have in my notes. So this is all kind of interesting that we're talking about this because this reminds me of a movie that Jason and I talked about last season called The Endless. And
that's on my list,
dude. It's actually way better than it has any reason to be.
It is. It's surprisingly good. We didn't.
And they're now doing. Those guys are now doing Moon Knight for Disney.
Oh.
So good on
because is that the one I'm thinking about where like they go back, they escaped the cult and they went back?
Yes, correct.
Yes, okay.
And it's very much like this in the sense that it's a low budget, but it's way better than it has any business being. And it
feels like it costs a lot more than it did.
Yeah. And then every now and then
movies like it.
You get those low budget actors that kind of that were just on board to help out their buddies or whatever, and they kind of pull you out of it. That movie had a lot of the same elements as this, and it succeeded in a lot of the same ways this did. But it also had tiebacks to previous films. They have a multiverse of their own that they've created in this little independent series of films that they made. But I thought that was done more tasteful, and it didn't waste my time. They gave the Easter eggs to reward the fans. Yeah. Hey, look, if you want to go watch these things there's a direct tie-in to like all these previous films. Characters show up that are in other movies of theirs and all this. Kind of like what's his nuts that made Clerks and Dogma and shit.
Kevin Smith.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So but this was just a little too ham-fisted, and these things just were like we stayed on these characters too long, and they were giving me all this extraneous information. I'm staying on this point too long. I apologize, Jason. You could move on.
But real quick though, you mentioned The Endless. Somebody suggested that one to me because I was talking to him about Midnight Special. Y'all ever seen that movie?
No.
It's another science fiction film, and it's got guy played Zod in the Superman movie.
Oh, Michael Shannon. We love Michael Shannon.
Yeah, and he's getting his kid.
I know this movie. Yes.
Yeah, he's getting his kid away from a cult, and it gets towards the end like really like metaphysical and like parallel dimension type stuff.
Oh wow! And what was it called?
And Midnight Special.
Okay, go on.
But yeah, like to give you an idea, there's like a scene where the kid's singing in the back seat, and his friend is like, "What's he singing?" He's like, "He's singing along with the radio." It's like the radio's not on, and like Michael Shannon just reaches on, like punches the radio on, and the kid's like note for note with the song that just randomly pops up on the radio.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So it's low budget, but it's another good one. So
by the way, I just had one of those moments where I felt really old because you said the guy that played General Zod in the Superman movies, and originally,
oh god,
I right away I thought Terrence Stamp. No.
The very first movie I ever saw in theaters was the original Superman with Christopher Reeve.
Oh, wow.
That's how old I am.
That's awesome.
Jesus.
Yeah. I sat on my dad's lap because the guy's like, we only got like two seats left and there's three of you. And Dad's like, I'll pay for him. He can sit on my lap.
You literally mined the gold that you put on my teeth yourself and the gold rush. Yeah. You got it with a pan out of the river.
Oh man, I love your commitment to this bit, Ryan.
Yeah, Yeah, my wife made me feel old. She's talking about, yeah, I loved E.T. as a kid, watching it on videos. Like, yeah, I saw it in theaters. Her first words were, "How old are you, damn it?" Come out in 82. What do you...
Man. Yeah, I mean, you had us fooled. I didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're not as far off as we'd like to pretend we are. So, there's some young bucks out there. We're not one of them.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that I did like about the film is I thought it did a good job of making the reveal where we learned that he's actually not a private investigator and he's actually a hitman. I will say that I definitely did not see that coming.
Technician.
Exit technician, yes, as he refers.
Exit technician. I love that.
And and then once they also finally, so around that time or just right before perhaps, they also reveal exactly what's going on with this golden cross. And so both of these reveals actually really worked for me. And when I said that the film kind of lost me for a minute, this is where it brought me back in. Is so he receives some information from the everyone's favorite, our two little young detectives from the little dossier that explains that the Golden Cross is not just a family heirloom, and that he was basically just under the impression that he was collecting it for this person. No, it actually turns out that it's evidence, and it's the only piece of evidence in a past murder case. And the guy was exonerated because they didn't have this piece of evidence, and so he is in fact the one who has hired Steve, aka Fletcher, to go and get the Golden Cross. So again, once we learned that piece of information, we learned he's actually a hitman. I was back in, and at that point, it kind of brought me back in, and I thought that they were nice twists that worked. And then we also, from there, start to really get into the Matchbright and Middleton and exactly kind of where they fit into everything. That's where we actually get introduced to the Alan Moore character, who, by the way, I don't think enough credit is given to the inspiration that one Mac Tonight most certainly gave on his hairstyle.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I thought that I'm so glad you brought that up. I thought that the entire time I was watching that.
Alan Moore was like stoned one night, like watching old McDonald's commercials on YouTube and was like, that would be brilliant. Also, how does he get his eyes that red? Does he just smoke a ton of reefer?
No. I actually watched a little thing on the DVD, like behind the scenes, and he brings that up. Everybody's like, "How'd you get your eyes that red?" And he goes, "I'm allergic to the makeup."
Oh, wow.
Oh,
yeah,
makes total sense.
He says, nice little happy accident. I'm allergic to the makeup, so it made my eyes look that way.
Wow, that was crazy.
Yeah, because he's in all silver painted makeup, almost like one of those robot men you see in Santa Monica on the So, but his hair and his beard are curved in the shape of like a moon, basically.
Back Tonight, yes.
Back Tonight, yes. For the old McDonald's commercials for those young whippersnappers out there.
When you meet him in the shorts, it's the opposite. He's all in gold and it's all fluffed out like the sun.
Oh, wow!
I didn't notice that.
So yeah, I don't know why they changed it. If it, in between the two of them. But yeah, when they first introduced him in the shorts, I'm like, is that supposed to be Frank again? Is that? Because I was expecting the whole moon, like Mac Tonight thing. It's like, no. He's
also, not to belabor this point, but like Matchbright, Mac Tonight, it's right there.
Oh, I love it.
So now Fletcher starts, he's having these dreams. He has his own sort of little, surreal Twin Peaks thing where he walks into the bar. They serve him a glass of smoke, right? And then he meets Matchbright, who gives him this really odd speech before he finally meets Mr. James Mitchum, right? His quote-unquote friend from the beginning, guy he's been looking for all along. And what does James do? He up and books it, just runs the hell out of there real quick. And that's when Steve chases him, and we're introduced to Middleton. So Middleton is the second of the comedy duo, played by Alan Moore with the crazy hair. And so,
by the way, it should be mentioned, all these people are known to be dead. Right?
Yeah. So all of these people have died. I believe it was in a fire, right? I think they died in a fire, and that was why the two of them went back and checked out the house and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Faith got the address out of a dream, and then the cabbie took him there. He's like, yeah, it burned down in like 73.
Yeah.
He's, I don't know why you wanted to come here.
Yeah.
I think that was our first teaser that there was more to this than meets the eye, so to speak. That was the first time I was like, oh, okay, so there's some supernatural shit going on.
Yeah.
And honestly, that is kind of, to Jason's point, Jason, to your point, that's kind of when I think that was that brief period in the middle you're talking about that I kind of checked out, because like that was when they were like throwing these new things at me, these new concepts at me that weren't really fully fleshed out yet. And I was like, wait, what is this shit? And there's like these dead comedians, and it just was like too much. And then once it started to like get back to the, like it tied that stuff back to the cross stuff, then I was like, okay, now I'm back on board again.
Yeah.
But it just felt like we took this weird off ramp off the highway that we were on, and then now we're in this in Dead People Town, and we had to like get all that kind of wrapped up, and that took a minute. And then pair that with all the extraneous characterizations that we were talking about earlier, and I just was like kind of coming in and out of it. And but then, you know, once we get about this part of the film, just like you, Jason, I was right back in. I was like, okay, now it's all on the table now. We're good to go, moving forward.
Yeah, and it may just be one of those things where, you know, they were trying to do the diversion, you know, get you moving this way to bring you back this way. If so, I would say they probably didn't do as great a job as they could have. You know, that's kind of the only reason that I can think of, is just these little red herrings along the way. So, which brings up actually, so we are kind of actually closer to the end here than we might realize. So I do kind of want to ask you a sort of high-level question as it relates to just film in general, okay? And that's the nature of the red herring as it's used by screenwriters, okay? This can be used to solid effect, I suppose, but I feel like more often than not, it just ends up kind of cheating us, or giving, like, it's a manipulative way to move to get your audience to think one thing that's not really going on. And I feel like in many instances, they don't give you enough information to where the red herring is like a clever switch. It's more just like, oh, well, why would I have known that? You didn't give it to me. Do you guys have any opinion on this, just as a general theme, conceit, etc. in film, or is this just a me thing?
I like you done right. I really do like it, but more often than not, it just, like you said, it's not really a red herring. It's just, I didn't know something the characters knew.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, well, why should I have known that? Like, if you can go back and you can point out like, hey, here's some clues that you missed. Okay, cool. Great. Even though I don't really love him as a filmmaker, I always point to like The Sixth Sense, like with Shyamalan, right? Really good job of like, you go back and you rewatch that and it's like, oh, this was all right there, right? This is this is that. I didn't piece it together because I didn't know it was coming. Like, hats off to you, sir. Very well done. But I feel like that's the exception to the rule.
Well, recently I think Knives Out did that pretty well, distracting you from who the actual killer was for the majority of the film. But then you can go back and sort of pick up on, oh, wait a minute. You know, it's like, why didn't I catch this before?
And that's, you know, that makes repeat viewings more fun and stuff like that. But this wasn't that.
Maybe. No. Sometimes that's what I'm saying. Like, it can, if it's done well, where it's rewarding. But also sometimes you'll rewatch and be like, wait a minute. That seemed clever the first time, but now I'm going back and like, they intentionally gave me false information here. Like, you start to sort of see the way that you're manipulated, and then it's like
the old bait and switch.
Yeah. Like, and now I feel, instead of like, it's not like I got, you know, hustled in a clever way. It's not like watching The Sting or any of those movies where you're like, those guys got it past me. Well done, right? Also, specifically on this matter, I do want to ask you guys about one film in particular, because it's the film that I've had the most debate about, and that is The Usual Suspects. I assume both of you have seen The Usual Suspects before?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. What do you guys think about that ending? Good ending or not good ending, and why?
Dude, that's a movie I haven't seen in a long time. That probably deserves a rewatch, to be brutally honest.
Do you remember what the whole thing is?
I do, okay, the Kaiser Soze ending and all of that? Yeah. I'm going to say that it worked in the moment, but going back and talking about it, like we talk about movies on this show, it's kind of a piece of shit ending, right? Like the fact that he's just going to look around the room and be like, yeah, I'm this and that. And it's like, I didn't notice. And it's been actually lampooned. I can't think of anything in particular, but I know I've seen shows like Futurama or Simpsons or South Park or whatever, like make
yeah.
fun of that ending because of how like, you know, it was the first time we had seen something like that, and they pulled the rug out, and it's like, you got me. The singer got me, but yeah, like when you go back and kind of break it down, it's like, and then he got this information off a coffee mug, and this off a calendar, and this off. It's like, really,
yeah. I'm like you, like for a first time viewing, it's one of those endings you'll sit there and you're like, oh my God, how did he pull this? But going back, you're like, really?
Yeah.
You just kind of made all this up off the top of your head.
Right. I think so much of the reason why that movie works is the talent, the acting, you know, the dialogue and all of that. So, you know, very much like this film, you know, taking this conversation full circle and getting back to the show, now that we're at the ending, I want to hear your guys' opinion on what the fuck this movie was about. I don't know. I don't know that I care. Like, it was a fun ride. I really enjoyed the film. I give it high scores. It sounds like, Jason, you might have liked it a little less, maybe for the same reasons, but I don't know to this day so the guy that Fletcher was trying to get the cross back for, was Bleecker. This like mob boss type gangstery dude, played by the same guy that played the broker in the original Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought that was interesting because he virtually plays the same character, out for a cross this time instead of the purple Infinity Stone for Ronan. But
he kind of reminded me of the guy from Snatch, the guy with the big glasses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like just because like literally every 3 words is an F-bomb. It was actually, I will say, admittedly, it was distracting how much like every other word was like, you fucking butt, fucking blah blah blah, fucking blah blah blah. She's like, oh my fucking butt. And I was like I'm not prude, right? Like, but like it's distracting. You guys just deliver your lines of dialogue. Like, stop it.
Like,
we
it's
get
like
it.
I get it's Britain, but you have to drop the C word so much.
It instantly felt like a Matthew Vaughn movie.
Yeah, it really did. At a certain point, I was like, you guys aren't even saying anything. You're just wasting time repeating cuss words. Like, again,
like, thank God my daughter's in her room watching her TV and not hearing this old man say some of the stuff he's saying, especially about the shotgun. I'm going to put a shotgun up your mother's shitter. I'm like, wait, what? What?
Yeah,
was intense.
That's a choice. Yeah. So this guy wanted his cross back because of the evidence or whatever. Got it.
Yeah.
What did he have to do with the 2 vaudeville comedians, Alan Moore and the other dude, specifically Alan Moore? They obviously want him to join them in this afterworld place or something. This is all kind of being designed or set up as a bit of a otherworldly cat and mouse of sorts. Is that
sure?
You know, and Alan Moore is more or less pulling the strings, so to speak, and kind of manipulating this scenario somehow to get him down there. Like, but why? Like, did Bleecker, the Bleecker character that wants the cross, did he have something to do with the fire or the downfall of their? I missed something. Something went over my head to where I didn't realize what this vaudevillian afterlife, otherworldly side story had to do with our main story. Like, they're both cool stories. They're both cool characterizations. But what tied that in with this, other than when these people died, they joined them down there? You guys have any?
I got a theory, but I'm going to have to pull back so you guys can see all the red tape on the wall. And all the
No, man. Let's hear it. Get into it.
Okay. Because they bring up that Metatron or Frank, whatever you want to call him, was a member of an actual like magical society. So I figure that's where the cross come from. But then they also talk about he like got in with like heroin and some like bad people and went, barely stayed out of jail. And what I'm thinking is that Bleecker was hired by someone to kill him. And he's like, at the end, he's like, you're supposed to be at the party, and you wasn't. And so he killed everyone at the party because, they were witnesses, and he took the cross. And then because Faith mentioned something about the fire doors were blocked. So I think when Bleecker found out where they were at, he set the fire and then blocked the doors. So I think this whole thing is Frank setting up to get revenge for his own murder.
Okay. Why didn't they tell me that?
Well, no.
Or did they?
I mean, it's a
and
good
I missed
theory.
it.
But wait, what was
I think
the?
he kinda,
But what was? I'm sorry, did
think-
I miss what you said? Like, what was the reason he did it?
Well, it's to get revenge for his own murder.
No.
He knew
But
Bleecker.
like, why did Bleecker kill them or do whatever he did?
I think somebody hired him to do it.
Oh, okay, so he was a hitman.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that was kind of because when Frank's talking to Fletcher, he brings it up. He's like, "You're just the next domino." He's like, "I got faith," like meaning like he kind of arranged what happened to her. He says to get you in,
Yeah,
and he says, "And you're going to bring me Bleecker." And he mentions like magic and poetry, and I honestly, thinking about it, I think that's where the Carnaby character comes in because his mother's obsessed with this comedy duo,
Right?
And Frank drops the thing of as long as we live in pop culture, we can continue to live in people's dreams. So I think like Carnaby's mother is kind of fueling the club in a way, if it makes sense.
Okay,
Where she's so obsessed with them.
Yeah,
got it.
So yeah, that's my thing. Is like Frank somehow used his magical knowledge to set up this sort of purgatory to long game play. I'm going to get revenge for my own murder.
I mean, that would make sense, that aspect of it for sure. It's kind of interesting that you said that, because I'm just going to so for everybody listening, we're kind of at the end here and we're just going to kind of break down some different interpretations of some shit. It might get a little out of hand here, right? But so there was something that came to me or I had considered, and I have no idea if there's any merit to it whatsoever, but I'm going to throw it out there and see if, there's any part of it that resonates with you, which is there's a scene where the superhero guy is looking at Bleecker and he pulls up Fletcher's picture as well. And like, for a moment, I thought that the insinuation was that Fletcher was like a young Bleacher and there was some weird like time travel shit going on or something like that. And then you mentioned how Bleecker was a hitman, and then there was a connection where they're both hitman, and so I don't know if that's the seeds of something that may or may not be there. I don't know why I came away with that even, but I did for a minute like consider like, is the film trying to tell me this? I still don't know if it was or not.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I got nothing.
I kind of built my theory because of something that Fletcher says, where he's like, "Is this another Bardo?" And I'm like, "What is it? Is that like English slang or something?" And it's actually something out of Buddhism. It's the space that a soul exists in between death and rebirth. Mm. And so I think that's what he's trying. That's like Alan Moore's way of saying this is what the club is. Is it's like these people are trapped between
it's
life
like a purgatory,
and death.
right?
It's a purgatory.
Because like Frank won't let them move on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's kind of what Matchbright was saying. Is like, there will not be another Bardo. Like, no, this is the end for us. Like, we're not getting away.
Yeah.
Okay. So is this one of those things that I just need to be as smart as Alan Moore, probably, to understand? He's just too smart. Like,
well, no,
I think he just likes telling. I think he just hates telling a story in a straightforward way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he likes piecing out people putting pieces together to come up with like their own reality, I guess.
But there's also there's the reality of, first of all, there's such a thing as the complicated noir plot, right? That's a thing. Most people do not follow these plots. And quite frankly, the only reason we even got to this point is because we took an hour and a half, 2 hours, or whatever amount of time to actually look into it, right? Like, we were very open about like, hey, we didn't come away with that. And a lot of this is just sort of us spending that time going back trying to figure it out, right? So, first and foremost, the idea that, just because we don't pick up on every nuance means that everyone else does, Alan Moore has all the time in the world to sit there and think of all these pieces and put them there, We're not going to catch that on the first viewing.
Oh, no.
Then on top of everything, you throw in the fact that we're taking notes because we're going to do a program on it. So, like, it's a little hard to keep track of every little thing that's going on. And
I just want to know what the little 3-headed thing was in the club when Fletcher was in there. The little like cat.
Yeah, they like walked in and walked out real quick.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
And I don't know. Yeah, I think that's just them having fun. Like, I don't know. That feels sort of like maybe like an Alan Moore flex, right? He's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to make you guys spend $30,000 on this visual effect that has nothing to do with anything because I'm Alan Moore.
I'm sure to him it means something.
Yeah, exactly, right. But to no one else, right?
Yeah.
That's the type
well,
of
and
stuff
this
that
is
you
why
can...
I said I have to be as smart as Alan Moore because, like, I bet you if we looked into it, it's like, a metaphor for some Egyptian god, and it's got the 3 heads, and that's each head signifies something, and all this symbolism and shit. But it's like, Jason, we talk about this on our show all the time, where it's like, if it's not on the screen and you're not giving it to me, and you're expecting me to like go on these deep dives and shit. Yeah. We talked about it with Leos Carax and doing Holy Motors and stuff, because, there's a lot of symbolism in that. I really enjoyed the film. And if you give the film its respect and like go online and like read all these blogs and go on Reddit, it's like, oh, and this means that and blah, blah, blah. But, to the average schmo that just, clicks on this shit and gives it a run through, like, okay, there's a 3-headed cat. Cool, and move it on. So then you kind of, that's kind of a wasted effort, I guess. Or maybe it's not. Maybe I'm the asshole because maybe that's a reward. It's like, hey, here's your treat.
Like, hey, you know
for
what?
Going
you're coming
online.
under budget. We'll get you that visual effect. And they did. And it's like, okay, there
well,
you go.
It's a reward for the viewer. Like, I kind of felt that way with Holy Motors. Like, on face value, it's this visual, surreal fever dream. But then on, the deeper you go into it, some of this stuff means stuff, or it's symbolic, or resembling is, wife's suicide and blah, blah, blah. Okay. I don't know, man. But I can say this ending didn't, it didn't really wrap up a lot of the loose ends for me. Honestly, didn't care. I liked it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, when me and you was talking before we started recording, it's like, to me, the question I try to answer in every episode of mine is just, was it entertaining?
Sure.
Like, I don't go into a deep dive, because to me, that's, I don't care what the movie is. That's the one question every film should answer.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I should just be able to like go in blind, watch it, and enjoy it. Yeah. And then if there's a deep dive into it like this, like I was doing like notes on it and looking up like some of the names, because I knew Alan Moore, the way he writes. And there's a lot of crap there in the film to unpack, but I couldn't tell you what any of it has to do with the plot.
Yeah, definitely. Now,
like some of the character names and stuff, like the club's name, was it Fuseli's? And I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? And it's a painter whose most famous painting is called The Nightmare. Huh. So I can kind of see why he picked it, but at the same time, it's like, do I really need to know that to enjoy the movie? Like you said, do I need to be as smart as Alan Moore to get this film?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Now there is kind of something that I wondered if this dream world as well, like, wasn't also a metaphor. And there was a couple things that led me to believe this. So at one point we have Middleton, again, the Alan Moore character, and it's, when he's sitting there and he first meets Steve, and they're talking, and he's kind of telling him what's going on. It's when he sees the replica of the gold cross hanging there on his backstage desk or whatever. And so and Alan Moore's talking, the Middleton character, and he talks about how like the information about how he stays alive in dreams, right? And it's basically like the dream world is alive, right? And you couple that with the fact that they were comedians, they were artists of their own right, just in the realm of comedy, So to me, it kind of seemed like he was setting up a metaphor, as a lot of artists, often do, where, it's art and entertainment and work itself that persists through time, right? And so I wondered if maybe it was kind of trying to give us the impression that the work this comedy duo did, this art that they made together, tangibly exists in some sort of time and space out there, because, again, the metaphor being that like art never really truly disappears. And so maybe that world is imprinted and it sort of exists, quote unquote, throughout time. And again, it's really just a metaphor for the fact that they did this work, and by doing that work, again, it exists forever. And that world will exist forever because of that work that they did together.
Yeah, I can see that. That makes as much sense as what I rolled out with.
Right? Again, there's no, I don't think there's any objective senses of what is and isn't correct. It's just interpretations. And honestly, that's why I do enjoy covering films like this on the program. And that's why I wanted to do this one with you specifically and give it a little more time because, yeah, you know, I like hearing what you might think, you know, this is a metaphor for. I love hearing what individuals think about, you know, David Lynch movies and like, you know, some guy wants to geek out on, you know, because like, so I remember, for example, the Mulholland Drive DVD, first of all, is the most pretentious thing in the world because David Lynch made it one chapter, the entire movie, no chapter breaks, because he thought that you should not experience it in fits and starts. It should only be experienced as one full film. And so he's not giving you chapter breaks. And it's like, dude, come on. Like, kind of being an asshole about this. Just because I fell asleep watching your film doesn't mean I should be punished by having to skip through and find the exact moment I did so. Whatever. But it also came with this insert. And the insert had like 10 questions from David Lynch asking you like, what does this mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? And then you realize that stuff that you never even realized was a metaphor. So one of his questions was like, what do you think about the red lamp on the desk? And I was like, what, a red lamp on the desk? That's ridiculous. You go back and you watch it and he's like, wait, that's a metaphor? That's a thing? I thought it was just a red lamp on a desk.
Yeah.
You know, anytime, and then, you know, especially with David Lynch films, right? He never tells you what it is. So, you know, Ryan thinks it's this and you think it's that and I think it's this and none of, you know, we all may be right or wrong. And I just very much enjoy stuff like that personally. So
that's funny you bring that movie up because I thought about that movie several times watching this film, just in regards to like the man behind Winkies or whatever.
Oh yeah. You've always been creeped out by him forever.
Dude, to this day, that is the scariest costume in cinema. I've seen BTS shots of like him just hanging out, you know, on set in full regalia, and it still makes me shit my britches. So,
I love that.
Whatevs, man, with the contact lenses and all that. Yeah. But my point is, I don't even remember. I'm terrified. My point is,
I like stories.
Yeah, I like stories. My point is, like that, you know, it's one of those things where that showed up, and yeah, I might get something out of that. You might get something out of that, but does it make it any less or greater of a film? You know, I don't think that some of the randomness of this film took away from it.
No,
I wish I would have understood the ending a little bit better. That's my only complaint, and I thought it was about 20 minutes too long with some extraneous characterization. But other than that, it's a winner. I like this one.
Hearing you talk about metaphors in films, whenever I see somebody doing one of these deep dive analysis on, like, you know, oh, there's a background statue in Children of Men, and then I'm going to do an hour video on it on YouTube and how it changes the meaning of the film. I always think about the Roger Corman story where he talks about that, and he said a reviewer wrote a beautiful thing on this. You know, he says like 8 paragraphs on this one shot of the moon in Little Shop of Horrors and what it meant in the film and how it changed it. And he said, I'm sitting there with my editor going, that was a piece of stock footage we needed for a transition. That's like the only reason we put it in. What movie is this guy watching?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I always think about that.
Yeah, that's like what was the movie? Finding Forrester, right? Where he's like, sometimes an airplane is just a plane.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, you know, the film kind of wraps up with, you know, we've got Faith and Fletcher. They go to this bar. And, you know, Bleecker ends up having his lackeys kidnap Faith. They go meet in the alley. Bang, bang, shoot 'em up, shoot out. We do get where our protagonist, Steve, lays waste to the 2 baddies before killing the ultimate baddie with the least likely weapon ever, a good old Dennis the Menace slingshot. That's right. He is a hitman who apparently uses a slingshot to take people down.
Okay, funny you said Dennis the Menace, because I actually looked it up, because he's wearing the red and black shirt throughout the film.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, is that like a Freddy Krueger reference?
Yeah.
You know, because the red and Dream World and stuff.
Yeah, totally.
And no, the slingshot and the red and black shirt, and again, I got this off of like a site, somebody talking about the movie.
Yeah.
is Dennis the Menace. It's the British version of Dennis the Menace. He wears a red and black long sleeve shirt, got his hair sticking up all over, and carries a slingshot. That is literally the character as an adult. Somebody said, I'm like, wait, what?
That's hilarious.
You're telling me we're talking about dream states and Zen Buddhism, and then a stinking children's comic strip
right
from your childhood is the main character?
So what do you think? I would be curious what Dennis the Menace is called in Britain. I hope it's like Troublesome James or something like.
No, it's literally Dennis the Menace.
Oh, they call it. All right.
No, in a weird coincidence, theirs come out the same day in papers as ours did. Same title, completely different characters. Wow. It's like a weird historic coincidence.
Wow.
That I learned from Cracked Magazine, their site. So.
That's awesome. It's funny, but man, all this multiverse, see, is left over from the cutting room floor of everywhere all at once.
Yeah, Dennis the Menace is a hitman. That's almost as good as Kevin from Home Alone being the Saw guy.
I do want to see an emotionless British version of Mr. Wilson responding, though. That would be.
Dude, I kind of want to now see like Spy versus Spy, where it's Kevin McAllister versus Dennis the Menace, but the British version.
I'm obsessed with British versions of things. I love it.
Oh yeah,
so much.
Yeah, and then of course, after he does lay waste to the baddie with the slingshot, he being the bad guy that is Mr. I always want to say the Bleakin because I'm a big Bob's Burgers fan, but it's Bleecker. And Bleeker's got this like giant BB or something that's like stuck in his eye that he, was obviously killed with. And he's walking into the bar and he walks straight up to Middleton, Mr. Moore, who's, looking there with his like, I gotcha, come hither smile look with his giant red eyes from the makeup. And he's like, no, I'm dead, blah, blah, blah. And then that's the film. It's over. And, we come away knowing about half of what happened, but and having enjoyed it to various degrees of success for that reason. So
if you're, if you're listening to this show and you're like, so what? Yes, that's the deal.
Yep. Yeah, that's
the correct response.
Yep. Can we talk about, was there a reason for him to bring in Guy Fawkes Day? It's like, yeah, we get it. You wrote V for Vendetta. There's like...
Oh, he did write V for Vendetta. Oh, what a humble brag.
Yeah, I'm like, why do we have to know it's Guy Fawkes Day? What?
I guess it's just multiverse stuff, man. It's deeper than we thought. Everybody's doing it now. So what if in a similar thing, the blue masked guy is a leftover hero from Watchmen that didn't make it in?
Oh, I bet
and it's just more multiverse shaken up.
He is, in fact, watching the Watchmen.
There you go. That was it.
So
there was a whole chapter. Who watches The Watchmen? This guy, but they made me take it out.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a novella. We were going to charge extra money for it. It didn't work out. It was a lost business opportunity.
Troublesome James. Got it. Nailed
Talking about red herrings, there just seem like so many moments in the movie that I'm like, is this going to pay off into something? Like, like I think Fletcher's cab fare at one point is the same police code that they're saying that they're going to charge Faith with for like the call to save her from being choked. Yeah. Like when he's talking to the guy and he's like, here's 10. He's like, you know what? Make it 963 because that's more interesting.
Oh,
and then in her dream, she's like, yeah, that's like a code. Yeah, we're charging you with a code 963. And I'm like, is this going to pay off somewhere?
That sucks because it should have. That would have been cool if it did. Like, if you're going to throw that shit in and go the extra mile and give me those nuggets, like, let's thread, like, you're just missing the common thread, and you're this close. And so that seems almost like an intentional choice to fuck with me, that you're going to like give me these little breadcrumbs, but not like, and just, no, it's all just throwaway shit. Like none of it had anything to do with anything. It's like, fuck you then.
Yeah.
It feels kind of lazy, dude. It's like, like again, if you're going to give me this, like you couldn't just spend a little more time like justifying it. And he was like, nah, I was kind of done with it by that point. Like,
right.
There was a really good show on, and the deadline was the next day anyways. What am I going to do? Work for free? Work extra for free? Fuck you.
And so those are the things that I would have liked to have seen pay off more in the short films that you're talking about, Wyndham, because if there are things that are important to the narrative for me to understand the film better or the characters better, I don't think like that does a disservice to me as the viewer, that it's like, oh, well, then what is this? Oh, well, you should have watched the short film. But like those cool fun nuggets, or like to do a little extra scene and then add some of that in and be like, oh, okay. Like that's where the fun comes in to me. And I think that would have been a bet, I don't know. I haven't seen the short film, so maybe I need to, before I go speaking on it, getting on my soapbox here.
Well, I mean, I enjoyed the film as it was, but like I said, watching the short films and then going back and watching it, I did catch some extra stuff.
So do you think that it added to your experience? Would you recommend for the people at home, like, do it that way?
Yeah, if you can find them, I think.
I wonder if they're on YouTube.
They might be. Sometimes
stuff like that is, or just on Reddit, so people have posted it or whatever,
I think he collected them all separate, and I can't remember what the title of the collection is.
I did see that online, yes.
Yeah. So, but honestly, to me, the only ones you really need to see are the first three that follow Faith. And then,
oh my God, how many are there?
5.
5, okay.
Yeah, like I said, the first 3 are like Faith, showing her how she winds up in the hospital, and then, her going into the club, and then her meeting Jimmy, the guy that has stolen the cross. And then the last 2 are just basically what happens to him.
Okay.
Like what happens to his soul in there. And God, the last one is really brutal because they give him the Egyptian judgment of the dead. Like, we're going to weigh your heart against a feather. And wow. It is a brutal torture scene involving a clown and a burlesque dancer.
Oh my God.
That's intense. Yeah. That's not normally like short bonus content isn't really as substantive as all that, but it sounds like
and each one of them's like 20 to 30 minutes long.
Jeez.
So it's like 15 minutes of him strapped in a chair with like a mouth spreader, and this clown just cheerfully like, yeah, we're going to rip your heart out, and we're going to put it on this scale, and if it weighs more than a feather, we're going to take you in this back room. This guy's going to eat you alive.
Oh, wow.
Jeez, that's so dark.
Yeah, that's a huge tone shift from this film I just watched.
Yeah, and it's like, and if I don't like you, I'll do it feet first, so that your feet will be coming out while your head's still screaming.
You watched this film, and then you watched all the short films, and then you went back and rewatched this film again.
Yeah, to take notes.
Nice.
Okay.
It's dedication.
Yeah, it looks like the collection is called Showpieces. Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
And the torture scene you're talking about might be in something called Jimmy's End?
No, Jimmy's End is him showing up at the club. It's I think it says Heavy Heart is the one.
Okay.
Oh, that would, nice little play on words.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, the first 3 kind of add to the story. They'll give you like a little more insight into Faith and her situation, and like a little more on how the club works and whatnot. But
okay.
But yeah, the last 2 are just all Jimmy, and like I said, they get really dark.
So it looks like Act of Faith, the short film that one of the short films was made back in 2012.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think most of them were shot between 2012 and 2014.
So these were all done before the feature.
Yeah.
Okay, that I did not know. Got it.
Yeah, according to like I said, the DVD, I watched the behind the scenes feature, and Moore and Mitch Jenkins said they wanted to do the shorts first as like a proof of concept.
Got it. Okay.
His script writing, because he talked about how different it is writing a movie script from a comic book script.
Mm-hmm.
And having to deal with actors and all that. He says, so I want to do the shorts to prove that I could do it. And he says, then it also, like, we could take it to studios and investors and be like, this is what we want to do.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah. And it is, like I said, it's a very big tonal shift between the shorts and the feature. The feature is almost a little lighthearted in comparison.
Wow. Yeah, no doubt. Sounds like it.
Yeah. Mitch is, the not Alan Moore comedy guy is much meaner in the shorts.
Wow.
I mean, he's roughing Faith up when she shows up at the club.
Interesting.
Man, I might have to go back and watch those, man.
Yeah, if we can find them.
Yeah, definitely. But so that kind of wraps us up here for the show. And we're going to go ahead and do our final 2 features that we do before we send off. The first is our little 3 adjectives feature, just like it sounds. We're going to give you 3 adjectives that best summarize our response to this film. Ryan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Well, sometimes we'd have these discussions and then I feel a little dumb about my adjectives, but I actually think these are spot on. I got close to greatness, because I do feel like there's so much to love about this. And it's just like, it's right there. If you recast this and gave it just a little bit more of a budget, this could be, this could be a film we all knew about instead of a film we had to like go dig for, it's at least that good. So I thought that it was right there. I also thought, my next one is, so it's confusing. Big whoop. Want to fight about it? Because I like this film. And I think if I told any one of my friends, hey, you should watch this show, they'd be like, so what was that about? I'd be like, so it's confusing. Big whoop. Want to fight about it? Because I like this movie a lot.
Say hi to your mother for me.
My last one is Brain Feast, because I also felt like there's a lot that, when I'm just, this movie made me feel dumb. I thought that a lot went over my head. I wish that I was a smarter human being that I could, upscale myself up to Alan Moore's level, but it doesn't make it any less enjoyable. I thought that, the cinematography was great. The writing and dialogue were fantastic. There was a lot to love about this. And, anyway, those are my three. How about you guys?
Wyndham, what you got, man? We'll go to you next.
Well, first off, since this is my opinion, I'll go with what I say on my show, answering the most important question of all: was it entertaining? Yeah, I was really entertained by it. But yeah, going by you guys' standards, my three adjectives. First off, I agree with you, Ryan. I got confusing as one of mine. Because it is one of those that you kind of have to piece together what's going on from clues that aren't part of the narrative, like paying attention to the throwaway lines and stuff like that. So yeah, it can throw you off towards the end. I went with showy because it's Alan Moore, and a lot of it and a lot of the information, like I said, when I was doing research on the names and stuff, just seems like him showing off.
Yeah.
Like, how smart I am, how clever I am.
Right.
Like you said, he's almost wanting the audience to come up to his level.
Yeah.
Instead of just sitting there and enjoying it. But my final one, I just went with, it's a fun movie. Because I really enjoyed it. I did like the characters. I know we talked about some of them weren't necessary, but, I still liked them. It's like, even if they weren't necessary, I did find them entertaining when they were on the screen.
Yeah.
And yeah, just the whole film, like you said, I've said, it hooked me from the get-go, and I was just there for the ride. And it's like, yeah, maybe I don't know what's going on. Maybe I didn't get all of the story, but it was enjoyable. It's enjoyable enough I've watched it twice, and I'll probably go back and watch it again in the future.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's my three.
Nice, yeah. So, funny, I also share one with you, which is confusing. And yeah, just openly, like, I think I'm a pretty smart guy, and this is just not something that I could follow along with right up on the gate. I mean, even after I was talking about it for 2 hours, none of us knows what the hell the superhero guy is. We don't even have a running theory. We're just like, meh, don't need to know. It'll work itself out.
Yeah.
he's Batman he's Batman with the money, but without the physical prowess. That's what he is.
I guess, man. And the second one is bizarre, and I don't necessarily say that as a bad thing. I mean, I love bizarre films, right? But just, you got to know between, the lighting and a lot of the concepts that's going on here. It's definitely a little bit out there. And also, I have plotting. I thought I just kind of plotted along through the specifically through the second act. I was especially, as it came off so strong, like it was such a weird, and maybe even inconsistent might be a better word, just because it shot out so strong and then just really slowed down as the film progressed. It was almost like a progressive slowdown. And then even by the end, it doesn't really ramp back up. I mean, you get some of those, action scenes, but they're just kind of throwaway. So, but yeah, all that to say that I did enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, but I have a feeling that my score might be a little bit lower than you guys. So let's go ahead and formalize this. Wyndham, I told you at the top of the show that I do star ratings and Ryan does grade ratings. I'm going to let you start. However, you can also you can choose one of those two, or you can go with your own special rating system. What you got for us?
I'm going to go with stars, because that's usually what I do when I talk about it, and I got to give it a 4-star. I mean, I know it's confusing. I know it's, like you said, it kind of plods along in some parts. But at the end of the day, when I rate something with stars, it's like 3's average, but 4 is I'll watch it again. I enjoyed it that much.
I like that.
So I got to give it a 4-star. and 5-star movies to me are the ones that I've watched so much that I don't need an excuse to watch them. Like the Blues Brothers, that's a 5-star film to me. But yeah, I'd give this one a solid 4. I enjoyed it. I'll watch it again and try to figure it out again at some point. I'll inflict it on my friends. That's the kind of movie that it is. You maybe watch Naked Lunch. Hey, I got one for you.
Oh man.
So yeah, I got to give it a 4 out of 5.
Right on. Ryan, grade rating. What you got, buddy?
I'm giving this one a B-.
Okay.
For all the same reasons Wyndham said. I thought that, look, dude, you could shoot holes in this movie all day long. This movie was kind of like it's kind of like a Tesla, right? Where like, you could come at me and be like, hey, in the cold weather, your doors don't open. It's like, yeah, I know. It's like, did you hear 30 of them blew up Thursday? It's like, yeah, I heard that too. Still want one. Fuck off, They're cool. And this movie, you could shoot holes in it. It's, what about this? What about that? I was like, I know. Still cool movie. Don't care.
Yeah.
It's a Tesla of movies.
Right on, dude. Right on. So, for me, I'm going to give this one 3.25 out of 5 stars. Like I said, it was a good movie. I did enjoy it. Definitely enjoyed it a little bit more than just okay, which is why I gave it that little extra quarter star there. But yeah, it didn't. And the interesting thing about this one is that I could actually see myself raising that score on like a second rewatch. I think that this is a movie that maybe plays, at least for someone like me, would probably play better knowing what I was in for. Because here's the thing, is that this film strikes a balance of being batshit crazy, but also not, right? Like, there's definitely heavy moments of it. But then once you kind of remove those moments, it's kind of like we said, it's playing with this sort of noir setup. And so I thought this was going to be just like a, nonstop barrage of crazy the whole time and this and that. And in certain ways it was, and in certain ways it wasn't. I think knowing that, knowing what I was in store for, going back, might get a little bit closer to your guys' score. But first time through, that's what I'm coming away with.
It's a metaphor for life. It starts out really fast and choppy, like we're young, and then the longer it goes on, it slows down till it dies.
See, I like it,
There's our serious film moment.
There you go. Yeah, now I feel like I got to bump up my score another quarter star already. But yeah, man. Really glad you brought this one to our attention, man. This is, like I said, this film is right up our alley. Even when I have films that I don't love as much as I hope, I'm always still really glad to enjoy them, to have an opinion on them. There are, there's definitely things that I'm gonna come away with, like especially just everything with all of the circus and the metal tin stuff, like in the Match Bride and all the Twin Peaks-y kind of stuff that we talked about, like all that surreal zaniness. Like, I'm here for that for sure. Still enjoyable. Before we go,
did Alan Moore do American Gods?
No, that was Neil Gaiman.
No, that's Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
Neil Gaiman. Okay, never mind then. Thank you.
He's like Happy Alan Moore.
Touche.
Also much wirier, but
Yeah.
But yeah, before we go, Wyndham, again, if you could go ahead and just remind people of your show and where they can find it.
Okay. You can do Celluloid Fever Dream. But before I do that, I just want to, like he's bringing up, like, this is the kind of movie I started doing my podcast for, because it's one I watch, and it's like, why aren't more people talking about this? Like, this has like everything to be a cult movie, like one that people talk about and watch again and catch and analyze. So yeah, when I come across it, like, I have to do this.
Glad you did.
Yeah, I'm glad I did it with you guys. I've really enjoyed myself. I want to get that out of the way
awesome,
too.
Man. Yeah, we had a lot of fun with you here.
But it's called Celluloid Fever Dreams. We come out like it's me and a rabbit in a room. It's my daughter's pet rabbit in a cage. And he'll watch the films, but he won't talk about them for some reason. Just
like a rabbit.
Despite all his rage.
Yeah.
He's still just a rabbit in a cage.
But it's Celluloid Fever Dreams. We come out every Thursday, and we just dive into the cinematic history and try to find the overlooked and underappreciated films and recommend them, trying to answer the biggest question of all: was it entertaining? And you can find us, like I said, on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Good Pods and Google and Spotify. Just about everywhere podcasts are, you can find us. If you want to keep up with me, though, I'm on Twitter at C Fever Dreams. I'm on Letterboxd. You can actually follow me on Letterboxd and see what other crazy films I watch. Just under Wyndham Jennings. And what else have I got? Oh, I got TikTok that I occasionally post videos to. Stuff that doesn't need like a full episode, like crazy headcanons and stuff. And it's Celluloid Fever Dreams.
Nice, man.
So that's all the places you can find me.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, yeah, like I said, man, really enjoyed having you on here. I'm sure that we're going to find plenty of other opportunities to get you back over here once we start this season proper.
Okay. Yeah, anytime,
Awesome.
anytime.
Well, yeah, absolutely, man. So once again, everybody, this has been the show. You can find it on Amazon Prime. It's on physical media as well. A bunch of other spots out there. Really appreciate you hanging out with us. We will be back. I don't know. We're going to be back for season 3 soon. We haven't announced it yet, but they should be coming anytime soon. So we're working on the episodes already if we don't have them all chalked up for you. So stay tuned. We will be back. And in the meantime, just keep enjoying all of this wonderful bonus content. We make it for you. We will see you next time on Esoterica Cinema.